Alright, so I attempted to record this last night, but the file glitched up. So I'm just going to quickly go over what the next Let's Plays are. So I've gone ahead and this would have been part of the stream last night, but getting all these their appropriate colors. So yeah, here's the games: Wario Land 2, Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 7, Knit Stories, The Machine, Metric Fusion, Thousand Year Door, Wind Waker, Big Man X3, Another Super Mario World, Oracle of Season. You can read them for yourself. And Mega Man 2. Let's just quickly go over a few of note. For Final Fantasy 1, it'd be the Game Boy Advance version, because that's the version I own, and probably the easiest for me to record / play through. And I know that there's some differences between the NES version and this version, so to compensate, whenever I finish the Game Boy Advance version, I'd go over to the Randomizer and talk about some of those differences. Final Fantasy 7 needs no introduction, but Knit Stories does. So what Knit Stories is this series of quests or levels. Back in the day, a lot of people were making Super Mario World hacks with custom levels, but this was simply just one of the early indie takes on that, where people could make their own custom levels, and this was really just the guy who released one of the first levels for that, called The Machine. It came pre-packaged with the program, and it's just simply the most accessible. There are a few other quests that I'm considering for Knit Stories, but I'm open to suggestions, as long as it's not stupidly hard. Like, as long as it's a reasonable task and I don't feel too frustrated, I'll be willing to try it out. But I will do a test run beforehand, I mean, for a few minutes, just to make sure it's not a mess. What's the other one? Oh yeah, Oracle of Seasons. That has a few different runs for that, and there's also a randomizer, but I'd start with, if Oracle of Seasons wins, I do an unlinked game, and then whenever Ages gets selected, I do a linked game there, because there's this password system where some post-game items or whatever can be carried over, and a whole complete story with that. But I explain that more when I would go to play that. Final Fantasy V, probably the most easy version and complete version that I'd be willing to play is the Game Boy Advance version. I know that there's a Steam release, but I've heard issues with it, like glitching and stuff like that. And Mega Man 2, it has its own randomizer, so I'd also do that afterwards. But that's really just touching on the subject right there. And I'd also like to talk about my upload schedule. It's been pretty hard on me just to try and upload constantly, and I also want to do some more stuff with streams. So I'm gonna, what's the phrase? Sort of do an alternating thing where I'll spend like probably the first 30 minutes on stream doing an actual Let's Play video, and then I'll do stuff like speedruns, randomizers, stuff like that. Or perhaps, let me find an example of this. Yeah, that randomizer right there. Or perhaps there's a game. Oh, this one's a better example. Or perhaps there's a game that I haven't quite finished yet all the way. Perhaps doing a full first playthrough, or first complete playthrough for that. Because there are some games where I do want to have a completed Let's Play where I try and show off as much as I can, such as Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. But I also know that some people would probably have some interest in more blind playthrough type things. And oh yeah, Knit Stories also is, The Machine is prerequisite, as well to a few other Knit Story things. That's another point. But as far as YouTube upload schedule goes, I'll probably tone it down a little bit to like every other day, because it's just been taking a whole lot out of me to do it every day, with the editing and with having to transition, or what's the phrase? edit file types. It just takes a lot out of me. And I also want to show off a little bit of another Mario World. So let me go ahead and get that set up. Do I have intermission screen? Sure, I'll do this one. And I hope it's still like active on the list. No, not appear to be. All right. I also should announce a few events coming up. No, it's not the same instance, is it? There's a few marathons that are taking place and tournaments and whatnot that I'm participating in. And the first of these is what was it? I can think. The first of these is the Randomizer, and I'll be doing a Super Metroid Randomizer for that alongside someone. I don't know which one was the correct one, but I'll go with whatever. Whatever, okay. So, yeah, I'll be doing something for that. Super Metroid, along with a few other people. There's a few other details of that are still a work in progress, but once those details are figured out, it'll be set up on the schedule for you to see. And there's just a lot of scheduling. I don't know how much I should disclose, but is it this version? No. I don't know what's going. Okay. And there's also a Super Mario World Randomizer. It's all exits that I'll be participating in as a contestant on a few races. So if you're interested in that, come watch me play. And possibly fail because it's me trying to get into a speedrun category. Or something like that. Is this the correct one? I hope emulators aren't. Good thing. Oh, that's what went on. Okay, because it's trying to load a different instance. Video game instance is weird. Okay, that's not the right instance. Let me just click, drag, and hope that the save works. Okay, whatever. Weird. So, right. Oh, that's just forked. Gonna recapture that. Right, so what is another Mario World? Well, I got an early save it. Ow! I got an early save right here, and I'm just gonna show off a little bit of what this is about. Let me just boot up audio. And I'll just show off a few of the levels. But basically, it's supposed to be a parody of some hacks going on at the same time. In a similar vein to what Net Stories did, where it just parodied a lot of the tropes, like Proton John had issues with a lot of hidden blocks right there, and that just really is a reference to that. And, you know, there's just a lot of bad design tropes that this really parodies all throughout its levels. And even towards the end. But I don't want to show off too much of that just yet. But you have the screen right here that makes it seem like it's going to be a little... like it's going to be an actual attempt on a good hack, but there's something amiss with it. Other than some of the palette issues, but that was sort of standard back in the day, but... it just goes into some of the parodying of Super Mario World. Thus, another Mario World. And I know there's been some that were placeholdered. But this really is just one of the options right here. And me trying to get into the 4A packs. And I know this was one of the first ones that I actually tried out at an earlier date, much earlier in my life. So that's what that is. Now, where's the desktop there? Now, wait, did I want to show off the thing yet? Not quite yet. Let me just hide the window. That's not the next Let's Play. And I'm going to reload this. Because I already made a straw poll, and no sense in restarting that if I don't feel it's necessary. It just was a failed recording. But all in all, here's a sum. Ignore that. Here's a summary of what to expect. And I also happen to put these on here twice. Oops. Everything else is fine though. But depending on I'll only pay attention to whatever one of these two gets the more votes. So, have at it. Links will be in the description for this, and have a good one, everyone.